Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to English class, and in this video I'm going to share you something about the next materials in our class. In the first video, I have already shared you something about how English is very important to be learned in this era and how actually the best way to learn English. But now in this second video, I'm going to share you about about the difficulties in learning English. I do believe that we will find some difficulties in learning English, whether it is coming from outside or inside ourselves. So I think in this meeting, it is also very important to discuss about this. During the experience teaching English for about like half decades, I also have been teaching for university students, and I always discuss at the very beginning in my class. I always teach students not actually speaking in special, but actually in the very beginning. But I teach, like I think that I have not good English already. I mean, like I don't have a good English already, especially in speaking or writing or something else like that. So in my major, in university student, I'm not teaching one of particular skills. So I am teaching another aspect of language, or for example, like I'm teaching a theories, not teaching a skill. And in this meeting, because I am actually teaching as students coming from agriculture major, and this semester we are learning about English speaking. So I have to discuss about this. During my time teaching English, so I have discussed with many students about the difficulties in learning English, and the majority of them always said like three parts or three things which they think is really important and the most difficult things in learning English. Those three aspects are: the first one is vocabulary, and the second one is grammar, and the last one is the pronunciations. So the first one is vocabulary, and then pronunciations, and also grammatical construction. So let's start by discussing this aspect. The first one, vocabulary. I do believe that people can speak or people can write because they have vocabularies. Vocabularies is important, but in my opinion, when you want to start learning English or when you want to start speaking or writing English, vocabulary is not necessary things to have earlier. For example, like this, if people always think that vocabulary is the most important from everything, I am personally don't believe that, because in learning a language we have the stage the stage of learning a language. For example, like when people learn the language from 1 until 6, from 1 until 6 months, until 6 months, so they actually normally can acquire a vocabulary in about like 1 into 600 vocabularies. And after that, they will develop, they will add their vocabularies into 1,000 and then more than 1,000 and then more and develop God. So if we always try to memorize the vocabularies but we never use that, I think it is just useless, So my advice to you, vocabulary is yes important, but not really important in learning, especially speaking English. Try to imagine and try to compare. I give you the comparisons to someone. I mean, to housewife or to someone. Okay, for example, like we have two people. The first one is let's say Lisa, and the second one's Dina. Lisa is very creative when Lisa cook something, and Dina is not really creative when Dina cooks something. Lisa have two materials for cooking. The first one, let's call vegetables. So for example, let's call what is that? an egg, for example. Let's we say Lisa has an egg and also tofu, but Dina has so many kinds of vegetables, have so many kinds of meat and also egg and everything. But Lisa, with those two materials, she is creatively creating any kinds of food. The first in the first day she made only an egg. Next time or tomorrow she make an egg with balado or something like that, and next time only fried egg, and next time only what. So she is creatively using it directly, always using it every day and every single time. But the second people, Dina has so many vocabularies. Dina has so many vegetables, has so many kinds of materials from food, and also ingredients and something else like that. But Dina never used that. So we can know exactly the people who really have a good creative or who really have a good ability in cooking. Of course, Lisa is the one who have a good ability in cooking. So what I want to share with you now, vocabulary is, of course, it is important, but if you almost add your vocabulary and never use that, it seems useless. You will never have a good English speaking already. So please make sure whatever the vocabulary you have, for example, like you have like a vocabulary, but if you always use it regularly, it will be like really helpful to you to have a good English. So that's the first one. And the second was grammatical constructions. Always so many students that I'm teaching, and they always said like, because my grammar is not really good, and they always like very hesitate when they want to speak at the very beginning. So my advice also to you, grammar, yes, of course it is part of language, but not also necessary to be learned. I mean, when you are going to speak something, for example, like if we say like, I am happy and I happy, people probably will understand. But actually both not really right, because I happy is not right. It should be like I am happy. But when we say I happy, people actually understand. Or when we say like I happy, she go to school, we go to school yesterday, it is actually not right, because the grammatical constructions have their own construction, which actually we have to say like I am happy and I went to school yesterday and she goes to school. It should be like that. But when we say like I happy, she go to school yesterday, we go to school, everyone will understand about your speaking. So my advice to you, do not think about grammatical constructions at the very beginning you try to speak in English. Just keep practicing, because like as well as the people in front of us understand what we are speaking about, everything was just clear, so you have good English already. Because the goal of communications when people understand each other, so that's actually the key. And the next one is pronunciations. It is actually the same problem with the second, grammatical constructions. When we think that we want to have a good speaking just like native English, in my opinion, maybe some of us can do it really well, exactly, but some of us probably not, because we are not native English. So that's the first thing we have to underline. We are not native English, so it is not impossible that our speaking is not really good as native English is. So do not think that when we're speaking in English, we have to exactly the same like what native English do. This is actually not right, because English is international language, so it is not belong to particular country. It is not English for American, English British, but it belongs to all countries in the world. So now we have Nigerian English, Singapore English, Malaysian English, Indian English. So maybe we also can create Indonesian English with our own dialect, with our particular pronunciations. The key is always as the people in front of us understand what we are speaking about. So meaning like we have a good English already, because that is the key of communications. The goal of communications is to understand each other when we speaking each other. So that's why it is very important for you to underline those difficulties is not really the problem for you. Another problem which is coming from inside, for example, like maybe some of you have or you don't have really confident when you're speaking in English. And for example, like some of you also have a wrong way to speak in English, and some of you maybe don't have enough time to learn in English. But for this one, we are going to discuss in the next video. For this meeting, we are only trying to discuss this video. So please make sure, don't be hesitant to start to learn English. Do not not just because you think like English, you think like the grammatical construction is not really good, and also I have no many vocabularies, and because I also have not good pronunciations, and you don't try to practice English. Remember, the key of communications is practicing that language, and the goal of communications, it is the understanding between each other. So when you speak English and the people in front of you understand what you are speaking about, whether your grammar is wrong, whether the pronunciation is wrong, and lack of vocabularies, so you have a good English already. So please keep practicing to speak in English and don't be hesitant to do everything. Thank you so much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.